Asmat Gurubhyo Namaha, Asmat Paramagurubhyo Namaha, Asmat Sarva Gurubhyo Namaha. Before starting, we always remember all of our teachers, pray for their benedictions. We are now continuing on with Hari Bhakti Vilasa and 7th Vilasa, which is all about flowers. Last time we got our first start to it, and we came to a section about offering flowers in the month of Kartik, which is October, November. So let's go straight to the text. I think it was text number 90. Here we have the text. It is called The Special Glories of the Month of Kartik. So Kartike, in Kartik, Mahatmyam Vishesha. Okay, special glories in this is from Garuda Purana. Okay, so it says, O foremost of birds. So somebody's addressing this to Garuda. It is better to offer Malati flowers. And remember, we were talking about different types of flowers. Jati, which was a type of jasmine, I believe, and Malati, maybe another type of jasmine, which were very favored by Lord Krishna. And so it's better to offer Malati flowers to Lord Keshava in the month of Kartik than to donate gold, cows, and land to worthy recipients. So that's amazing that offering flowers is more highly prized by Krishna than even offering of gold or cows or land. So this shows you how important flowers are in deity worship. So text 91. Again, this is coming from the same place, Garuda Purana. O best of birds, Malati flowers are pleasing to Lord Keshava in whatever month they're offered. In the month of Kartik, the offering of Malati flowers awards one the benefit of performing a horse sacrifice. Text 92, we have in the Skanda Purana, we have a conversation between Lord Brahma and the Rishi Narada. For a devotee who worships Lord Vishnu with offerings of Malati flowers in the month of Kartik, Yamaraj orders the removal of all his sinful reactions from the account book. Text 93. Again, we have again about Kartik in the Kartik Mahatmyam, which is the glories of the month of Kartik, in the Uttarakhanda, the last Khanda of the Padma Purana. We have again mention of not just Malati, but also Jati flowers and Champaka flowers. So, if a devotee worships Lord Madhava with offerings of Malati, Jati, golden Jati, and Champaka flowers during the month of Kartik, the Lord awards him residence in his abode. That means moksha or liberation, because if you go to the abode of Lord Vishnu, that Paramapada, that is liberation. Text 94. Kamalasya Mahatmyam, the glories of lotus flowers. So now we finished up with Jati flowers and Malati flowers, these different types of jasmine flowers. And now we're going to talk about lotus flowers or kamalas. Again, conversation between Brahma and Narada in the Skanda Purana says, if a devotee worships Lord Adhokshaja, who is beyond the range of material sense perception, with fragrant white or blue lotus flowers, he will certainly attain the supreme abode of the Lord. Elsewhere in the same literature, meaning Skanda Purana, it is mentioned, is that Skanda Purana? Yeah, Skanda Purana. Persons who have not worshipped Lord Hari with offerings of white or blue lotus flowers, made with love and devotion, right? The offerings made with love and devotion are understood to have ruined their lives and fallen into the clutches of Kali, meaning the age of quarrel and discord that we're presently experiencing. Okay, so a lot of times actually in the scriptures we get do's and don'ts. So it's here we're saying, here's after praising, giving so many glories of offering flowers, including lotus flowers. Now it's saying if you've never done that, then you're considered to be fallen. So you should really, do that. Text 96 and 97. We consider this probably coming from the same place. A devotee who worships Lord Narayana, the husband of Lakshmi, and the master of the demigods, with offerings of lotus flowers, is alleviated from all his sinful reactions that were accumulated over the last 10,000 years, meaning it probably means in different lives, of course. When the beloved Lord of Lakshmi is offered, is worshipped with offerings of lotus flowers, he awards unalloyed devotional service to the devotee. Text 98, a conversation between Shiva and Parvati in Skanda Purana. It says here, Shivoma. Shiva means Shiva and Uma. Shivoma Sambadi. So that's the Sandhi. Shiva and Uma becomes Shivoma. Shivoma Sandhi. Sambadi. Okay. When a devotee worships the Supreme Lord with offerings of lotus flowers, he certainly attains 100 times more merit than worshiping the Lord with offering of other flowers. Okay, so we had a lot of discussion of numbers in regard to how great it is to offer the jati flowers and the malati flowers. Here, it's being stated here that lotus flower is even better than any other flower. So it seems the way that Gopal Bhatta is doing this is he's talking about different flowers one by one, and he's giving us more and more better flowers to offer to the Lord, if possible. So text 99 to 101, we have also the glories of lotus flowers according to their various colors. As stated in the Skanda Purana, it says, by offering pink lotus flowers, one achieves the merit of giving one masa, which is a certain weight, or 8 ratis of gold in charity. If a sincere devotee offers 100 lotus flowers to the Lord, he can achieve the merit of performing an agdistoma sacrifice, which is a type of soma sacrifice. By offering 1,000 lotus flowers, one can be honored while residing in the abode of the sun god. One can be honored while so first of all, you have to go to the abode of the sun god and Suryaloka, I guess, and you're also honored there. A person who worships the Lord by the offering of 100,000 pink lotus flowers, certainly becomes eligible to be transferred to the abode of Lord Vishnu. There, such a devotee receives the favor of the goddess of fortune. There is no doubt about this. Offering white lotus flowers yields double the merit of offering red lotus flowers. Okay. So again, special glories of offerings which are made in the month of Kartik from the Padma Purana, Uttarakhanda, last section, again from the Kartik Mahatmya and the glories of the month of Kartik. Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, remains favorable for 100 lifetimes for those who worship the husband of Lakshmi while with offerings of lotus flowers in the month of Kartik. Again, from the Skanda Purana, conversation between Brahma and Narada. In text 103, it says, O foremost Brahmana, this must be Brahma talking to Narada, Lakshmi does not reside even for a moment during a period of 1,000,000 lifetimes in the house of those who have not worshipped the lotus-eyed personality of Godhead with offerings of lotus flowers in the month of Kartik. So again, a bit of a negative statement here that you should definitely do it. If you don't do it, then you're not going to be favored by Lakshmi. Text 104 to 106, the glory of blue lotus flowers. I don't know if anybody's ever seen a blue lotus flower. I can't say that I have. But we might have to look up and see exactly what flower is being mentioned here. In the Vishnu Dharmotara, which is being quoted quite often here, it says, O Brahmanas, one obtains the same merit by offering blue lotus flowers, kumkum flowers, which could mean saffron, but kumkum is that type of saffron colored flower at least, and Bandhu Jiva flowers. By offering blue lotus flowers to Lord Vishnu, one receives the merit of donating 10 gold coins. There is no doubt of this. One who offers 100 blue lotus flowers to the Lord receives the merit of performing an Agastoma sacrifice, and by offering 1,000 blue lotus flowers, one earns the merit of performing a Pundarika sacrifice. By offering 100,000 blue lotus flowers to the Lord, one obtains the merit of performing a Rajasuya sacrifice. Text 107 to 109 is now a Mahatmya of the glories of offering a Kumuda flower. So a Kumuda flower, don't exactly know what it is. We have to look it up. Again, from the Vishnu Dharmotara, it mentions, by offering one Kumuda flower to the Lord, a person receives the merit of donating 8 ratis of gold. By offering 100 kumara flowers, one becomes eligible to be honored by residing in the abode of the moon god, which means Chandraloka. By offering 1,000 kumara flowers, one can transfer himself to any planet he likes. By offering 100,000 kumara flowers, one earns the merit of performing a horse sacrifice. Offering pink lotus flowers to the Lord yields double the merit of offering kumara flowers. So we have now Kadambasya Mahatmyam, the glories of offering. Kadamba flowers from Skanda Purana, again, a conversation between Narada and Brahma, says, O great ascetic, those who worship Lord Govinda with offerings of golden Kadamba flowers need not fear the wrath of Yamaraj. Those who worship Lord Janardana with offerings of beautiful Kadamba flowers will never have to go to the Lord of Yamaraj or be born in degraded species of life. And it's also said, the master of the demigods does not become as satisfied by offerings of Ketaki flowers or Malti flowers as he is by offerings of Kadamba flowers. As soon as Lord Madhava sees Kadamba flowers, he becomes joyful. And so what then can be said for how satisfied he becomes when he's worshipped with offerings of Kadamba flowers, right? So just by seeing them, the Supreme Lord becomes very joyful. The truth is, the Lord always fulfills the desires of a devotee who offers Kadamba flowers to him. And continuing on, the creator of the universe, Lord Madhava, who is pleased by the offering of Kadamba flowers as he is when he is united with, becomes as pleased by the offering of Kadamba flowers as he is when he is united with Lakshmi. Similarly, by supporting Lord Hari, by worshipping Lord Hari, even negligently, while offering him even one Kadamba flower, the Lord and his consort Lakshmi become obliged to to personally protect him for 100 lifetimes. All of one's sinful reactions that were accumulated during the last 10,000 lifetimes can be nullified simply by the offering of the fragrant Kadamba flowers to Lord Keshava. So now we have some specific special glories of offering certain flowers in the month of Ashada. So, one who worships Lord Shamasundar by the offerings of Kadamba flowers in the rainy season, he fulfills all of his devotees' desires for 100 lifetimes and awards him great opulence. Human life becomes successful when one worships the blackish personality Krishna, the Lord of Lords, with offerings of Kadamba flowers during the rainy season. Text 119 to 120, there's a Mahatmya about Karavira flowers. Again, we're looking in the Skanda Purana in the conversation between Shiva and Parvati, and it says, O goddess, those who worship Lord Kesha with offerings of Karavira flowers acquire the merit of giving 10 gold coins in charity. A person who even once worships Lord Vishnu with the offering of red Kavira flowers obtains the merit of giving 10,000 cows in charity. Text 121 to 122, again in the Skanda Purana, the conversation goes on between Brahma and Narada, saying, O exalted Brahmana, the Lord of Lords, Sri Hari, remains pleased for 4 yugas with those who worship him with offerings of either white or red Kavira flowers. The person who worships Lord Achyuta by offering him pure white or red Kavira flowers with devotion achieves the shelter of he whose flag is marked with the symbol of Garuda, meaning Lord Vishnu. Continuing with text 123 to 128, the glories of Purandri flowers. Lord Hari, who holds a disc and club in his hands and who is the enemy of the demon Madhu, becomes very satisfied with the devotee who worships him with offerings of Purandri flowers. It's a fact that beautiful Purandri manjaris are always pleasing to Lord Hari. One who offers the Lord only one Purandri flower obtains the merit of giving a huge quantity of sesame seeds in charity. by offering 1,000 Purandri manjaris or flowers, one receives the merit of performing an Agastoma sacrifice. One can undoubtedly earn the merit of performing a horse sacrifice simply by preparing a garland of Purandri flowers scented with camphor powder and offering it to Lord Keshava with love and devotion. By offering 100 Purandri flowers, one can achieve the merit of performing a Vajrapaya sacrifice. A Vajrapaya sacrifice is a bigger Shraddha sacrifice than the Agastoma. And by offering 100,000 Purandri flowers, one becomes conversant with all fields of knowledge. Texts 129 to 131, Agastya Pushpa Mahatmyam. So this is the glories of the Agastya flowers. Again, Skanda Purana, conversation between Brahman and Narada. Narada says, O Narada, simply by seeing the worship of Lord Hari performed with offerings of Agastya or Baka flowers, one is rescued from the fire of hellish life. O foremost Brahmana, Lord Hari does not grant so much favor after being pleased by a person's performance of austerity as he does when pleased by an offering of Baka flowers. O great sage, even the king of the demigods trembles at the sight of a person who worships Lord Janardana by offering him a garland of Baka flowers. Now, elsewhere in the same literature, that's the Skanda Purana, right? It says, text 132 to 133, O Narada, if Lord Hari sees a person wearing a garland of Baka flowers that had been offered to him, or if he is offered a garland of Baka flowers, he remains pleased with him for a period of 10 lifetimes. Lord Janardana's devotees who offer him white or colored Baka flowers attain his supreme abode in the spiritual sky. Now we have a quotation from the Vishnu Rahasya. So you see above we have quotations from Vishnu Dharmotara, from Padma Purana, from Skanda Purana, and from some other sources. And what Gaurabhata has done is he's taken out of those conversations and he's put them in order to talk about each flower one by one, the glories of each flower one by one. Here we have a quotation in text 134 from Vishnu Rahasya. The word Rahasya means secret, so it's secret information about worship of Lord Vishnu. By worshipping Lord Rishikesh, the master of the senses, with Baka flowers that are as beautiful as lotus flowers, one becomes freed from the miseries of birth and death because he's liberated from material existence. Text 135 to 137, again, Skanda Purana, in the month, glories of the month of Kartik, it says, the person who worships Lord Keshava by offering Baka flowers rather than other flowers in the month of Kartik surely receives the merit of performing a horse sacrifice. If the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, is worshipped on the new moon day of the month of Kartik with the offerings of Baka flowers, he fulfills all the desires of his devotee. O sage, the result one obtains by donating 10,000 cows can be achieved simply by worshipping Lord Keshava with one Baka flower. So again, Kartik Mahatmyam in the Padma Purana says, those who worship Lord Hari with offerings of Baka flowers during the month of Kartik are awarded the position of learned sages who strictly follow the vow of celibacy. So now we're talking about Ketaki flowers. So the glories of Ketaki flowers. In the Skanda Purana, it's mentioned, Lord Madhusudana, whose flag is adorned with the symbol of Garuda, remains pleased with a person who worships him with offerings of Ketaki flowers for 1,000 years. It is possible to receive Lakshmi as a guest residing in his house by worshipping Lord Rishikesha, right, with offerings of Ketaki flowers. It's also stated, O great sage, a devotee who offers Lord Janardana golden Ketaki flowers obtains the merit of giving gold in charity. Now we have some more from the glories of the month of Ashada. In the same literature it says, a devotee who worships Lord Keshava with the offering of Ketaki flowers, even once at the time when the sun enters Gemini, right, the sign of Gemini, is delivered from the ocean of hellish life. Moreover, if the devotee worships Lord Hari with an offering of Ketaki flowers at the same time when the sun enters Gemini, he will enjoy the merciful glance of the Lord for one manvantara, which is a very long time. Now we're going to be talking about the glories of offering flowers during the month of Shravana. Now, Hari Bhakti Vilas later on is going to give us different activities to perform in these different months like Kartik, Ashad, and Shravan. Right? And in fact, all the months of the years are going to be glorified, and there's going to be special activities listed month by month. But here, because we're talking about flowers, Gopal has pulled out all the quotes for flowers for the different months, and he's giving them to us one by one. So, O exalted Brahmana, those who worship Lord Govinda with offerings of newly grown Ketaki flowers, at the time when the sun enters Cancer, also we can understand when the sun enters Gemini, when the sun enters Cancer, we can understand that this refers to different months of the year, which is seen in the southern hemisphere. O exalted Brahmana, those who worship Lord Govinda with the offerings of newly grown Ketaki flowers at the time when the sun enters Cancer, which is seen in the southern hemisphere, attain the abode of Vaikuntha, where Lord Hari resides, along with his consort Kamala, even if they had committed hundreds and thousands of sinful activities. Now, I wonder, he says here, Dakshinayani, Samprapte Dakshinayani. So I don't think it actually means, the translation here is, which is seen in the southern hemisphere, is not the right translation. So this month that they're talking about here of Shravana is supposed to be during, it must be during Dakshinayana, or that when the sun is in the southern course, going in the south. Okay, so now we have again back to the glories of the month of Kartik concerning Ketaki flowers, right? O sage, among the demigods, one who has offered Ketaki flowers and a ghee lamp to Lord Hari in the month of Kartika, right? This is the month of Kartika, has delivered 10,000 generations of his family. And now we have about Kunda flowers. So the glories of Kunda flowers. From the Skanda Purana, we can assume it's from the same section again, the conversation between Shiva and Parvati, but we can check it out. By worshipping Lord Keshava, who destroys the sinful reactions of his devotees, with offerings of Kunda flowers, one can enter his supreme abode, which is glorified by great sages and charanas. Charanas are a type of higher living beings like angels, like Gandharvas, Vidyadharas, charanas. Okay. So now we have from the 10th canto, in the Gopi's description of the Lord's garments, found in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, it's stated, "O friend, wife of the deer, has Lord Achyuta been here with his beloved, bringing great joy to your eyes? Indeed, blowing this way is the fragrance of his garland of Kunda flowers, which was smeared with kumkum from the breasts of his girlfriends, when he embraced her." So this is being stated by the gopis. The gopis are looking for Lord Krishna. This is probably in the section after the Rasa dance where the gopis are looking for Lord Krishna after he left the dance. And so what they're doing is they're smelling the fragrance of the Kunda flower garland that he was wearing, and also noting that it was smeared with kumkum, because it rubbed up against the breasts of his girlfriends. So, text 149, also in Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 35th chapter, text 20. That previous one, we don't know exactly what the verse number is for it, but we could easily look it up. But this next verse, we know it comes directly from the 35th chapter, 20th verse. "O sinless Yashoda, your darling child, the son of Nanda Maharaj, has festively enhanced his attire with a jasmine garland. And he is now playing along the Yamuna in the company of cows and cowherd boys, amusing his dear companions." So now we have text 150, which talks about the glories of Pavanti flowers.
Can I ask a quick question on that one?
This is from the Vishnu Purana. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just wondering what word they use for jasmine in the Sanskrit of that one.
Here in it's got Kunda, Dharma, Krita, Kautaka, Kautuka Vesho. It seems like it must be Kunda, the Kunda flower. And we can look up the word Kunda. Okay, so if we look up the word Kunda, it's a type of jasmine. So in according to Moni Williams, it can be a few different things. It says it can be a type of jasmine, Jasminum multiflorum, or Jasminum pubescens. It also says, well, here it's saying fragrant oleander, which is Nerium odorum, but then that is also said to be Caravira. So Caravira might be fragrant oleander. And they're the two mentions there. I would take it as Jasminum multiflorum or Jasminum pubescens. Okay, so that is Kunda. The word Kunda in the Sanskrit here refers to this type of jasmine flower.
Thank you.
Okay, so text 150, we also have Pavanti flowers being glorified here, again in Vishnu Purana. So it says, as a result of worshipping Lord Rishikesh, the master of the senses, devotees attain his supreme abode, which is crowded with his jubilant and transcendently attractive associates. Text 151 comes from a Mahatmyam in the same Purana, which is the Vishnu Purana, right, about Karnikara flowers. So Karnikara flowers, let's just do this. We can just type it in. Karnikara is P-T-E-R-O S-P-E-R-M-U-M. Pterosphaerum acerifolium, right? Or could also be Cathartocarpus fistula. Can also be the flower of. Oh, okay. So, and otherwise it says the pericarp of a lotus, the whorl of a lotus, I guess, right? So, by worshipping Lord Achyuta with offerings of beautiful golden Karnikara flowers, one becomes eligible to be honored while residing in his transcendental abode. Text 152, Srimad Bhagavatam 1021.5 states, wearing a peacock feather ornament upon his head, blue Karnikara flowers on his ears, a yellow garment as brilliant as gold, and the Vaijayanti garland, which is supposed to be a garland of forest flowers that has 5 different colors, right? Lord Krishna exhibits his transcendental form as the greatest of dancers as he entered the forest of Vrindavan, beautifying it with the marks of his footprints. He filled the holes of his flute with the nectar of his lips, and the cowherd boys sang his glories. Text 153 is the glories of red Shatapatrika flowers. So Shatapatrika flowers are Shatapatrika does not come up in my search in Moni Williams. Let's see. Okay, no. Let's try something else. I don't know what it is. Doesn't come up in my dictionary. Okay, so again from the Skanda Purana, this glorification of Shatapatrika flowers says, one who offers Lord Jagannath fragrant. When we hear Jagannath here, it doesn't necessarily mean Jagannath in Puri style Jagannath. It just means Jagannath, the Lord of the universe, but it could also mean Lord Jagannath specifically in Puri. It can be taken in two ways. One who offers Lord Jagannath fragrant Shadapatrika flowers, the color of which resembles that of kumkum, right? Does not have to return to this material world again after attaining the abode of Svetadweep. Sometimes the spiritual world is also called as Svetadweep, or the White Island. Sevanti Palasha Pushpayor. Okay, so in the same literature, which was Skanda Purana, right, we have the glories of Sevanti and Palasha flowers. So let's see. Sevanti also doesn't come up in Moni Williams. And Palasha. Palasha comes up. Palasha is the blossom of the tree Butea frondosa. Okay, by worshipping Lord Rishikesh with offerings of pure and beautiful Sevanti and Palasha flowers, one is delivered from the miseries of repeated birth and death. Now we have the glories of Kuvja flowers. Let's have a look and see if it's Kuvja or Kubja. Kuvja doesn't come up. Kubja comes up, and Kubja could be the plant Achirantes aspera. Okay. Right. So, devotees who worship Lord Rishikesh with offerings of fragrant white wild kubja flowers with love and devotion will reside in the abode of Svetadweep. Text 156. Champakasya Mahatmyam, or the glories of Champaka flowers. Champaka flowers are a yellow fragrant flower, Michelia champaka. You can look it up. Okay, so
it's a type of magnolia.
The type of magnolia, yellow magnolia. Okay, yeah. Good. So offering champaka flower to Lord Janardana is as good as offering him blue lotus flowers. So if you can't get blue lotus flowers, get champaka flowers. Okay, so again, in Skanda Purana, the conversation between Brahma and Narada, it's again stated, those human beings who worship Lord Hari with love and devotion by offering him champaka flowers do not come back to this material world again. Text 158 is talking about Ashoka and Bakula flowers. So we have Ashoka. Ashoka is a tree of moderate size belonging to the leguminous class with magnificent red flowers. Jonesia Ashoka. Okay, and the other flower, Bakula. Bakula, I think we've mentioned before. Bakula is Mimosops elengi. Also sometimes written as Vakula, right? Bakula or Vakula. Okay, by worshipping Lord Hari, who removes fear and lamentation from the minds of his devotees with offerings of beautiful Ashok flowers, one becomes eligible to attain his supreme abode. And where in this particular verse does it say anything about Bakula flowers? I don't see that. So I don't know why they've mentioned it's about Ashok flowers. Okay. So continuing on, Skanda Purana also says, those who worship the Lord of the universe with the offerings of Bakula and Ashok flowers will reside in the abode of Lord Vishnu for as long as the sun and moon continue to rise and set. So obviously this is a section that comes together. although these are from two different places, but they're put together under the heading of glories of Ashoka and Bakula flowers. All right, so text 160, we have now the glories of Hatala flowers. Hatala flowers are Bignonia suaveolens, or a tree bearing the trumpet flower. Mm-hmm. Okay, so a pure-hearted devotee who worships Lord Hari by offerings of Hatala flowers becomes relieved of all sinful reactions and certainly attains his supreme abode. Text 161. A devotee who worships the Lord, whose flag is adorned with the symbol of Garuda, with offerings of Patala flowers in the spring, undoubtedly achieves liberation from material existence. Now we have Tila flowers, the glories of Tila flowers. Tila flowers are sesame, or, sesame flowers, okay. So, Vishnu Rahasya says, by worshipping Lord Madhusudana with the offering of white Tila flowers, a devotee becomes freed of all sinful reactions as well as the fear of material existence. At the end of his life, he attains the association of Lord Krishna in the spiritual world. And now we have Java flowers. So we have Java flowers are saffron, it says here. Java pushpa, okay. Right. So one who worships the Supreme Lord, who lies down in the water of the causal ocean with offerings of white Java flowers, becomes fearless and non-envious, and at the end attains the supreme destination. Text 164. One who worships the Supreme Personality of God, whose flag is adorned with the symbol of Garuda, according to the prescribed rules and regulations, and with offerings of Java flowers, attains the ultimate goal of life. Now we have the Mahatmya, or the glories of Atiruksha flowers. Atarushaka flowers. Atarushaka flowers does not come up in the dictionary. Okay, so we have no idea what it is. Again, from Skanda Purana, it says, a pious devotee who worships the Lord of the universe with offerings of Atarukshaka flowers attains the supreme abode of Lord Vishnu. Now we have the Sumba flowers. The Sumba is safflower. It could also be saffron. So it can either be safflower, which is Cartamus tinctorius, or saffron, which is Crocus sativus. Okay. Those who worship Lord Janardana with the offerings of Kusumba flowers become eligible to reside in my, that is Brahma's abode. This is Brahma speaking. In the same literature as before, Skanda Purana, right? So by the mercy of the Lord, he holds a disc in his hand. Who holds a disc in his hand? So the mercy of the Lord Vishnu has a disc in his hand. Those persons who offer Kusumba flowers reside in Brahmaloka. Now we have Malika flowers. Malika flowers are, could be Malika. Jasminum zambak. Okay. So it has been described that the merit of offering flowers of the Malika family, Utika family, and Kubja family is half of that which was previously described regarding blue lotus flowers. Okay. So text 168 to 169, again, Skanda Purana, conversation between Brahman and Narada says, by worshipping Lord Achyuta with offerings of fragrant Malika flowers, devotees are liberated from all sinful reactions and will be honored while residing in the abode of Lord Vishnu. If a devotee worships the Lord, whose flag is adorned with the symbol of Garuda, with offerings of Malika flowers in the spring, such with staunch devotion, the three kinds of sin performed is with mind, body, and speech, right? Manasa, Kaya, and Vachika, right? Are burnt to ashes. Text 170, we're talking about the glories of Kumbhi flowers. Now, Kumbhi flowers are could also be called Kumbha flowers, and not exactly sure what Kumbha flowers are. There's a couple of different names given here where we can't be sure of which one it's referring to. So, Kumbha flowers, Kumbhi flowers. O Narada, one who offers Kumbhi flowers to Lord Janardana achieves the merit of donating one pala, which the translator here says is 2.5 ounces of gold, with each flower he offers. Now we have the Gokarna flowers. Gokarna literally means the ear of a cow. Gokarna. Gokarna. So perhaps it's a type of flower that looks like the ear of a cow. Not sure. Again, we can't see. There's a Gokarni, which is Sansevieria Zelandnica, but I still don't know what it means. Okay, so we don't know. So anyway, in Vishnu Rahasya it says, one can become king of the demigods by worshipping Lord Achyuta with offerings of Gokarna, Nagakarna, and Vilataka flowers. One can be transferred to Goloka by decorating Lord Krishna with Anjali, Votaki, Kusmanda. Kusmanda is a type of pumpkin. So it means flowers from the pumpkin, and Timira flowers. Okay, so let's just have a look at that. The translation here, I don't see the word Goloka mentioned, but it does say Hariloka. Okay, so the translator has taken a little bit of poetic license here and translated Hariloka as Goloka. Okay, so continuing on, Durvadi flowers. Durvadi flowers. Now, Durvadi could just be Durva, etc. Let's see if there's a thing called a Durvadi flower. Durvadi doesn't seem to be there. So it might be just Durva, which is could be Darba. Okay, so by decorating Lord Vishnu with Durva flowers grown in one's garden, as well as with Kasha flowers and Kusha flowers. Kasha and Kusha are both said here. Kasha and Kusha is there in the Sanskrit. One becomes eligible to enter his eternal abode, meaning Vishnu Loke. Good. Okay, so text 174 from Vishnu Rahasya again, it says, those who decorated the Lord of the universe with Shara flowers, Kasha flowers, and Kusha flowers attain the abode of Lord Vishnu. In fact, look at that. If we look there, we'll see that the last quarter of both of these slokas is exactly the same. Vishnu Loke, Vajen Naraha. Vajen means to go. Naraha means persons. Persons go. Vishnu Loke to the Vishnu Loka. Very, very similar slokas here. Right? Coming from Skanda Purana and Vishnu Rahasya. Okay, so we have another one. 175 says, there are different merits attained according to the color of the flower, which is offered to the Lord. It's also stated that by offering a garland of flowers rather than loose flowers to the Lord, one attains more piety and good fortune. So there's two ways of offering flowers. We can make them into a garland. And there are different types of garlands also. There's a garland for the hair, the garland for the neck. There's different lengths of garlands. And then there are loose flowers. So it's better to offer a garland than to offer loose flowers, according to this quotation, which comes from Vishnu Rahasya. So continuing on, text 167 to 177 from Vishnu Dharmottara and Skanda Purana. So perhaps this quotation is in both scriptures, right? So we have some overlapping of scriptures here, that not every scripture is exactly completely different from every other scripture, but there are common verses sometimes in different scriptures. Worship of the Supreme Lord with offering of white flowers will award one liberation. Right. Worship of the Supreme Lord with offering yellow flowers will award one the fulfillment of material desires. Those who desire to harm enemies, right, which is called Shatrunam Abhicharishu, right? Those who desire to destroy their enemies should worship the Lord by offering of very dark colored flowers. So, text 178 to 180 from Vishnu Rahasya mentions some more. By offering flowers to Lord Krishna with love and devotion, one achieves more merit than giving 100,000 gold coins in charity. By offering a garland of flowers to the Lord, one achieves the merit of offering a single flower multiplied millions of times. So garlands are millions of times better than offering loose flowers. Malika flowers can be offered both during the day and at night. Sondali and Utica flowers can be offered only at night. Nandya Varta flowers can be offered at midnight. And Malati flowers should be offered only in the morning. So here, this is an interesting, this is very interesting. So this is a quotation from Vishnu Rahasya, which tells us what time of day you offer what type of flower. As far as other flowers are concerned, they can be offered only during the day. This is the opinion of some learned scholars who have vast knowledge of deity worship. Continued on, it's also stated in text 181 and 182, Jati flowers remain fresh for about 3 hours. Paravira flowers remain fresh for a full day and night. Lotus flowers remain fresh for 7 nights. And a baka flower, which could mean bakula, I'm not sure, baka flower, remains fresh for 6 months. That's interesting. This duration of time begins from the time of picking the flowers. Right. Normally it said we shouldn't pick flowers at night, or tulsi at night. So we can understand that the flowers are usually picked at the time after the Abhigamanam. There's the Upadana part of the day. The 5 parts of the day are divided up. The devotee's day. The Abhigamanam is the beginning, where we get dressed and take a shower and everything, and put on tilak, get ready for doing the worship. And then the second thing is Upadanam, where we collect ingredients for the puja. When we're collecting ingredients for the puja, that is called Upadanam, and therefore this is the time when we collect the flowers. Otherwise, certain flowers can be kept overnight, and what they have to be done is wrapped up and kept, either wrapped in wet cloth, or they have to be kept in a refrigerator or something, which is a modern version of keeping the flowers fresh. So, text 183, flower decorations. So now it's talking about Ata Pushpa Mandapadi. So if anybody's ever been to Vrindavan, there'll be certain times of the year when they do this. They construct a whole flower pavilion or flower house or flower temple or flower palace for the deity of the Lord in the different temples. This is called Pula Bangala. Actually, in Hindi, the word is full, but in Sanskrit, we'll say Pula or Pushpa Bangala. And in English, we have this word bungalow, which comes from India. It's actually an Indian word. Bungalow is a house, a type of house, right? So a pool bungalow. If you ever go to Vrindavan and you go to Loy Bazaar, you can just ask any of the mukatwalas, any of the people who make deity paraphernalia, is there any pool bungalow darshan? If you ask them for when there's pool bungalow darshan, they'll tell you, okay, go to this temple on this day and this temple on this day. They'll be having a flower palace made for their deities, which you can see. So here we're talking about a pushpa mandapa in Sanskrit. I just told you in Hindi what it was, but in Sanskrit it's called pushpa mandapadi. The other thing that people do is, in order to make that construction, they also take banana stalks, the trunk of banana trees, and they cut up the trunk of the banana tree and carve it into flowers and different designs and things like that to make struts and things. This is called, I'm not sure, it's on the tip of my tongue anyway. So this type of banana, the inside of the banana tree is carved up and is used like that also, not just flowers. Okay, so it's called, anyway, it's pool bungalow, or it's pushpa mandapa, a pushpa mandapa. A mandapa, that means a pavilion, like a pergola, right, made of flowers. So here we have the glories of explaining how to make flower mandalas, not flower mandapas or flower pergolas, flower pavilions. The best of Vaishnavas should prepare umbrellas, pillows, swings, and other paraphernalia from flowers and offer them to Lord Krishna. Okay, so all of these things, mandapa, here it's stated, mandapa, make a mandapa, pushpanam, all flowers, mandapa, chatra means a umbrella. So vitanam, doladi means swings, pillows, all these different things should be made out of flowers. Now we have, so after we have that particular statement, which is a pramana, we have the Mahatmyam, or the glories of doing such a thing from Vishnu Dharmottara in text 184. It says, a devotee who builds a house of beautiful flowers for Sri Krishna will board an airplane made of flowers and go to the heavenly planets. Similarly, in Skanda Purana, it's also said, by preparing a house and bed made of flowers for Lord Vishnu, the devotee achieves the merit of performing both Rajasuya sacrifice and an Ashwamedha sacrifice, or a horse sacrifice. Again, in the Skanda Purana, in the conversation between Shiva and Parvati, it says, hear now about the piety of one who makes a house, an umbrella, or bed of flowers for Lord Keshava. Such a devotee perpetually enjoys life in heaven while relishing various pleasures, sporting activities, and opulence. There is no doubt of this. So now we talk about the glories. Again, we're going to the glories of the month of Kartik. We assume this is from the Skanda Purana. Again, the conversation between Brahman and Narada. So even I cannot conceive of the merit one obtains by preparing a house of multi flowers within the temple of Lord Keshava in the month of Kartik. Ata Suvarna Pushpadi Mahatmyam, the glories of flowers made of gold, right, and other valuable materials. So now, up until now, we've been talking only about actual physical plant flowers. Now we're going to be talking about flowers which might be made of other materials, jeweled flowers. So one who worships, this is, we don't know where this is exactly from, but it's the glories of jeweled and precious flowers made of gold. One who also worships the Supreme Lord with flowers made of gold and jewels and other precious substances. One should also do that. The special characteristic of these decorations is that they never become old, and so they can be offered again and again. Normally what happens is in South India, you can go to a puja shop and you can buy small flowers made of silver usually, but if you wanted to have them gold plated, or if you wanted to have gold flowers, you can buy them. And normally you'll buy 108 of them so that you can offer them with different names of the Lord in what's called archana, nam archana. And after offering these things at the feet of the Lord, right, with the different names of the Lord, then again for the next day you wash them and then you use them again, just as you would wash any other type of beauty paraphernalia like a lamp or a bell. So continuing on with text 190, it says the goddess has personally said, exactly which goddess has said this we don't know, but we can assume either Parvati or Lakshmi. Flowers made of gold never become old or faded, and so they can be offered again and again. So this is a very good pramana for people who live in countries or during times of the year when certain flowers or any flower is available. Of course, normally Vaishnavas live in places where, this type of flowers can be grown all the time. But in case Vaishnavas are in a place where they can't get flowers, this is a good substitute, what we call a parihara, right? So, or a substitute. So we have text 191 from Vishnu Dharmottara and also from Skanda Purana. We see that those two shastras seem to have some of the same verses. Before offering artificial flowers made of gold and other substances, one should smear them with fragrant substances such as sandalwood paste, perfume, or camphor. Right, so that's the idea. The idea is that if we offer these type of metal flowers made of precious metals and gems, we should also scent them before we offer them. Text 192 and 193, the glories of offering golden flowers. From Skanda Purana, it says, the entire earth becomes purified by the dust of the person, of the feet of the person, in whose house Lord Keshava is worshipped with offerings of golden jati flowers. By worshipping Lord Keshava with offerings of golden flowers, one obtains the merit of performing a Rajasuya sacrifice. And by worshipping Lord Keshava with flowers made of jewels, one becomes the emperor of the earth. Again, in Skanda Purana, again, the conversation between Shiva and Parvati says, among all types of jati flowers, golden jati flowers are the best. So although it says here Savarna Pushpam, we're not sure exactly whether this means they're made of gold or whether they're just golden color. I think it probably means in this context, because we're reading it in this context, it means made of gold. So all of the flowers that have been mentioned, and those that have not been mentioned, can be offered to the Supreme Lord if they are attractive and fragrant. And remember, if they're not deformed by insects or some other thing like that. And if they haven't been washed also, because if you wash them, then the fragrance goes away. One should be careful not to offer flowers to the Lord that have been prohibited in the scriptures. So now we're going to talk about prohibited flowers. Right, so text 196 to 199. Now, remember, at the end of this list of prohibited flowers also, we're probably going to see something. I'm predicting that we'll see at the end of this list that if you can't get any other type of flowers, you can also offer the prohibited flowers, because the offering of flowers is so important. But here we have some prohibited flowers. Now, in the different scriptures, in the Puranas and things like that, you will see sometimes it's said that this flower is best for this demigod or that demigod, and that this shouldn't be offered to Vishnu, this shouldn't be offered to Lakshmi, etc., etc. So this is probably some of the rules that we're going to see here. So again, from Vishnu Dharmottara, it says, one should not offer flowers to the deities that have grown on a tree in a cemetery. Tree in a cemetery. So don't collect flowers from trees in cemeteries that have grown on a tree whose roots are cemented with bricks. Right? So okay. That have, I'm not exactly sure why that would be, but anyway, that have fallen on the ground. That have fallen on the ground, right? Or that have not yet bloomed. Right? So it's still in the bud form. So as far as falling on the ground, this parijata flower, which is supposed to be from Indraloka, right, from the heavenly planets, that apparently you can pick up off the ground, but other ones you're not supposed to pick up off the ground. In any case, if a flower falls on the ground, if you still want to use it, Some people, they simply sprinkle it or purify it in some way and offer it. But we should be, normally when the places we collect the flowers from the ground or the underneath it is not really dirty. But in India, especially, a lot of the ground would be covered with impure things, and therefore just simply falling on the ground would be considered bad. Normally, if a flower falls from a tree and it falls from the ground, if it's still in pristine condition, we can simply sprinkle it and use it. But here is that if you want to be strict about it, there's a pramana here given that if it falls on the ground, it shouldn't be used. And of course, the mentality that is that we should offer everything, the best of everything to the Lord. Even if white flowers and fragrant flowers have been grown on a thorny tree, they can be offered to the Lord. Okay, so there is some discussion here about if a tree has thorns, that maybe we shouldn't use the flowers. But of course, we have wonderful flowers like the gulab, like the rose, which comes on a thorny bush, right? So here it said that that's okay, even if it's a white flower, which is considered the best color usually, which we've seen. And even if it's very fragrant, if it's on a thorny bush, it still can be offered to the Lord. Red flowers that have not been mentioned here should not be offered to the Lord. So there are some people who say hibiscus shouldn't be offered to the Lord, although there are some other pramanas that say, I think we mentioned one pramana there that said hibiscus could be offered, but a lot of people will say don't offer hibiscus because it's only offered to the goddess Durga, and don't offer it to Vishnu. So there's different ideas about which flowers can be offered, but here it says if the red flower hasn't been mentioned, then we shouldn't offer it like that. So I don't know. I didn't see previously the mention of roses. Roses definitely come in different colors, and one of them is red. So should we not offer red roses because of this pramana? I don't think so. I think this must mean something else, and we need to probably see if there's a purport to this or a commentary or something to explain exactly why these red flowers shouldn't be offered. If one does, he will only suffer miseries. Those who offer flowers with a very strong fragrance will be afflicted with anxieties. Okay, so here it's guarding against offering flowers with very strong fragrances. Now, I don't think anybody would object to a very strong, beautiful fragrance, but if there's a flower which has a particularly noxious fragrance, a bad smell, then obviously we're not going to offer it to the Lord. It's also stated that offering flowers without fragrance certainly awards one inauspiciousness. So we should always try to find flowers that have fragrance. However, if there's no fragrance, we can perhaps add fragrance to those flowers artificially, just in the same way as we have those gold and silver flowers that we offer. We add chandan or some sort of fragrance to them, or camphor. So here, text 200 to 201, it says, in the third kanda of the same literature, which was, I believe, Vishnu Damottara again, right? It says, one should not offer flowers that have a very strong fragrance or no fragrance. Flowers grown in someone else's garden, right? Which means you're stealing the flowers, unless you get permission or the other person gives you the flowers, in which case they will probably get benefit also from giving you the flowers if you offer them to the Lord, or on a thorny plant are not suitable for offering. So this is a general instruction, because obviously there are some flowers that are grown on thorny plants, which was just mentioned, that can be offered. So of those, it was very clear in the previous section where we're talking about the flowers which we can offer, it was clear which flowers we can offer. Here in the prohibited flowers section, we have to take a lot more careful. We have to take a lot more care with the exact meanings and the exact understanding of what cannot be offered. So, because here we have a general pramana here saying that flowers on a thorny plant shouldn't be offered, but we know that there are some exceptions to this. Of those who are dedicated to dharma or religious practice, religiosity, you should never offer red flowers from a tree whose roots are cemented with bricks, flowers from a tree in a cemetery, or flowers that have bloomed out of season. Okay, I have no idea why a flower would bloom out of season, but somehow or other they're saying flowers are bloomed out of season. Now today we might think, well, maybe there's a flower which is blooming in the spring or the summer in the southern hemisphere, and we can put it on a plane and send it to the northern hemisphere. So should we do that or not? I think probably the idea here is when it says flowers that have bloomed out of season, it means to say that we want to offer the flowers that are seasonal, that are in season. That's the positive way of saying that. I don't understand exactly how the Shastra can say flowers that have bloomed out of season. How does a flower bloom out of season? I don't know. It's just not natural.
Really strangely, though, a strange thing happened just today. I walked past the gardenia bushes and I picked 3 gardenias, and they're completely out of season. Usually they're in the spring. And just by some miracle, this gardenia bush had 3 gardenias on it. So I think it's kind of funny going over this part right now.
It's strange. It's strange, but a good point. Okay, so then now we have from Narada Purana, in the cursing by a witch, which is found in Narada Purana. So we have Rakshashi means a female demon, right? So here we have some instruction from the cursing of a witch in Narada Purana. If I have spoken a lie, then let me be afflicted with the sin of worshiping the Lord with the offering of flowers taken from somebody else's garden. So this is actually a sin to steal flowers. So then Jnanamala, in Jnanamala, which is apparently another scripture here, means probably like a garland of different knowledgeable sayings, right? It says, except Champaka, no flower buds should be used in the worship of the Supreme Lord. So don't use flower buds, use full flowers. One should, of course, we can use flower petals too. That's also possible. One should also not worship Lord Vishnu with dry leaves and dry seasonal fruit. Seasonal fruit. But of course, dry fruit.
Yeah. Huh? No, but speaking of buds, the buds of jasmine are used for, making garlands.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so there are obviously this needs a lot of explanation, and there are exceptions. Right, so using dry leaves. Now, I would also say that there's an exception, especially with Tulsi, for using dry leaves. You can use dry leaves when using Tulsi. And now, dry seasonal fruit does not mean that the fruit has been, by some process, turned into dried fruit. Because dried fruit certainly can be offered to the Lord. But some people might take this to also mean that dried fruit can't be offered to the Lord. And they would do what they do in a lot of places in Europe. What they do with dried fruit is they soak it in water for a little while before they offer it or before they eat it, because they want to reconstitute it to a similar texture to what it was before it was dried. Of course, you can't actually get dried fruit to go completely back to being fresh fruit by soaking it in water, but still that's what they do. So somebody might read that and consider that's what we have to do with dried fruit before we offer it to the Lord. I don't think that's what it means here, but the idea here is that if we have fruit, it shouldn't be old and dry, when we offer it, or leaves to the Lord. Okay, so continuing on. The buds of jati. See, now this is exactly what you said. The buds of jati, which is jasmine buds, right? Yuti, Malika, and Nava Malika, right? Flowers have a sweet aroma. Some devotees recommend that they be offered to the Lord. Okay. So in Vishnu Rahasya, continuing on, it says, even white flowers that have fallen on the ground should not be offered to the deities. So here again, it's being more forceful in saying that any flower that's fallen on the ground, even if it's a really good flower, which is a white flower, right? It shouldn't be offered to the deities. One should also not offer flowers with petals that have been spoiled or flowers that have been artificially made to bloom. So I guess there are ways to make flowers artificially bloom by perhaps putting them in a solution, putting the plant in a solution that changes the way the flower reacts or whatever. I'm not exactly sure what that means, but anyway. So,
You must be
but it,
referring to how when you go to the store, for instance, you go to Lowe's or Home Depot, these big box stores, whatever they call them, the home improvement stores, you'll notice that all the flowers there are always in bloom.
yeah,
They're definitely
it's
putting
for
some
some
weird
additive. They
chemicals
put some
in that.
additive in the water that the flowers are sitting in. Sure. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so here we have now from Padma Purana some more discussion about this sort of things. One should avoid using flowers that have been eaten by insects, flowers that are stale, faded, or dry. Right now, there are some decorations that I've seen where they've actually dried flowers and used dried flowers in a decoration like a wreath. Okay, so that may be an exception also. And flowers on which spiders have made their webs. Okay, so now if you're going to get rid of sometimes here in Hawaii, there's a certain time of year when the spiders come out and they just make they just make their webs everywhere. So what are you going to do? So even if they may be very, very beautiful. So one should abandon impure flowers, even if they have nice fragrance. One should avoid flowers that have very strong fragrance. Although flowers such as kusha have no fragrance, they can be offered to these because by nature they're pure. So now we have here from the Vaihayasa Pancharatra, it's stated, for the worship of Lord Hari, one should not collect flowers at an intersection, a temple of Shiva, or a cemetery. So, in Skanda Purana, it continues on. The conversation between Narada and Brahma is going to mention this part too. One should not offer to the deities flowers with withered petals or with petals joined together. One should avoid flowers that are dirty or not fully blossomed. Flowers that do not smell good, that have a strong fragrance or a sour fragrance, should not be offered. Flowers are considered polluted if they're eaten by insects. One should not collect flowers that are withered, dried up, rotten, torn, or were eaten by insects. Flowers growing under a spider's web should be rejected, even though they may look beautiful. One should not uproot any plant while picking flowers. So you have to be very careful. Just don't rip up the whole plant when you're taking the flowers. One should reject flowers that have been touched by something abominable. Right. Okay, so if the flowers somehow become contaminated, don't offer it. Now, there are exceptions in this regard from this Jnanamala, which is a garland of knowledgeable sayings. Right, there's no fault in offering lotus flowers, champak flowers, tulsi leaves, agastya flowers, bakula or vakula flowers, bilva leaves, right, bale leaves, and Ganges water, even if they're old. In Vishnu Damodara, I'm assuming that this is all under Atra Apavadaha. This is sometimes, this heading comes occasionally in Hari Bhakti Vilasa. And Atra means this, thus, or this. Apavadaha means exceptions. So we should be looking out for Apavadaha sections in Hari Bhakti Vilasa. This is one of them. So Vishnu Damodara says, one should not use homegrown white and red Karavira flowers for worship of Lord Hari. What does that mean? You have to get them from outside your home. You can't grow them? Okay. One should also avoid worshiping the Lord with flowers that have fallen on the ground, that are not fully blossomed, that are old, that have been already smelled, obviously, right? We can't give flowers that have already been smelled to the Lord, that have been crushed by an animal, right? That have been touched by a part of the body other than the hands. So don't touch them to any part of your body when you're collecting them apart from your hands. Pick them and put them in a container. Usually we have these, in India, they have these cane containers or bamboo containers or wicker containers, which they keep the flowers in. So now we have text 215. Visheshato Nishidani, special prohibitions in this regard. From Vishnu Damotra in the third kanda, in the third section, it says, Karavira, Dushtura, black kutaja, and sunflowers should not be offered to Lord Janardana. 216 to 217 says elsewhere, one should not offer sunflowers, dushtura, jinti, girikanaka, kantakari flowers to Lord Achyuta. Those who offer Lord Janardana, kutaja, shalmali, and shirisha flowers will face great danger and lose their wealth. Now, also in the Skanda Purana, it's also stated that those who worship Lord Janardana, the master of the three worlds, with sunflowers attract punishment, fear, and distress from the angry Lord. Right? So anybody who's offering sunflowers to the deities, watch out. Foolish people who worship Lord Janardana, whose flower is adorned with the symbol of Garuda by offering Dastura flowers, will suffer from mental illness. And what is this Dastura flower? Let's look. Dustura. Dustura does not come up in my dictionary search. Dustura is the thorn apple. Okay, came up with a short U in the last U short instead of long. So it's called thorn apple. Okay. So continuing on, Lord Vishnu awards the punishment of poverty to those who worship him with offerings of forbidden flowers. Those who worship Lord Madhusudana with Girikanaka flowers may face the destruction of their entire family. Okay, it's pretty heavy. What's a Girikanaka flower? Girikanaka doesn't come up. Okay, so we don't know what that is. Okay. So now we have the proper time for picking flowers. Okay, so now we're going to learn a little bit more about how to actually collect the flowers in the section of the day called Upadana. So flowers picked at noon and prohibited flowers should not be used for worshiping Lord Vishnu. Now it's obvious that when it's noon, it's the hottest time of the day and the sun is completely overhead, and so obviously the flowers wilt a little bit at that time. So it's not a good time to pick the flowers. So you're saying that you have not seen any mention of champa or frangipani flowers. Not sure whether they're endemic to India. Don't know. Anyway, so we don't know. Chameli, no, is what we're talking about. Okay, so.
But the thing is, you see them like in old temples, like even in Melkote.
Depicted.
You see them. Oh, I don't know if you see them depicted. But like, for instance, in Bengal, what they call the Chankazi tree is a really old one. And then when you go to Yoga Narasimha.
But again, the Chankazi was only 500 years ago. We had the influence of foreigners in India. We've had the influence of foreigners in India since Alexander the Great. So, at certain times, things come into India which may not be mentioned in the Puranas, okay, and the Pancharatras.
Oh, so, got it.
So nowadays, people may be using foreign flowers and foreign vegetables in some temples, right? Mm-hmm. But these things will not be mentioned in the Pancharatras and the Puranas because those literatures were written before the introduction of these things. So anyway, we don't know. We can look it up. We can find out the history of when the frangipani, or what we call here plumeria in Hawaii, it's called plumeria, came into India. Maybe it was already there. We don't know. But what I would suggest is not only that you see it being used in the temples in India, but do you see it depicted in iconography or in old carvings on temples? Do you see that particular type of flower being depicted? If you don't, then probably it wasn't endemic to India. It wasn't there. So okay, so anyway, we don't know exactly, but normally There are some temples which are very orthodox and they don't use things which have come in from outside. They only use the type of things which are mentioned in the Pancharatras and the Puranas. Whereas there are some newer temples and newer sects, right, where the acharyas have said, no, this is okay. We can use these new vegetables. We can use these new flowers, for the worship of the Lord. So, I mean, after all, just because a flower or fruit or a vegetable comes from another part of the world doesn't necessarily mean that it can't be offered to the Lord. It's just that it may not be mentioned in scriptures that are written in India in ancient times. So continuing on, we had that point about not picking flowers at noon, meaning you should pick them before noon probably and not after noon, right? But and prohibited flowers. Okay, so here it says in Skanda Purana, it says, Brahmana, the demigods, forefathers, and sages never accept flowers that were picked after bathing. That is really a strange statement there. We have to see what that actually says. Shnanam kritva means having taken bath. Shnanam kritva means having taken bath, right? To yat kinchit pushpam kritnanti vai naraha. Naraha, excuse me. Okay. I think, this word vai to me means without bathing, without having taken bath. So I think this is a completely wrong translation. And I would suggest to you that the actual rule here is, Brahmanas, demigods, forefathers, sages never accept flowers that were picked without vai, right, having taken bath first. Right? This is a big mistake. Let me just look up vai and make sure that what I'm saying is correct. Truly, indeed. I'm not sure that what I've said is correct. Okay, I'm gonna run this by my Sanskrit teacher and see what he says, but it doesn't seem to be correct to me. It seems to me that having taken bath, one does pick flowers. Okay, so anyway, in fact, these flowers are considered to have been burned to ashes. That doesn't make any sense that if you take bath, you collect after you take bath. Anyway, so, and where's this supposed to be from? Skanda Purana. Okay. So Skanda Purana is the biggest Purana, longest Purana, so we'll have to see if we can actually find that verse. All right, text 224. Manu has said that if flowers are not available for worshipping the Lord, then there's no fault in stealing them. Really, I would be very surprised if Manu actually says that anywhere, because Manu is a lawgiver, and here he's telling you to break the law. I don't think so. Robbing flowers for the sake of the Supreme Lord is never to be considered stealing in an ordinary sense. Yeah, I have some doubts about these particular slokas, but anyway, that's what it says. So, 225 to 226, in the Kurma Purana, in the section called Vyasa Gita, the Song of Vyasa, it says, Prajapati Manu has said that taking flowers, spinach, he said pushpe, shaka, udake means water, shaka means spinach, taking flowers, spinach, or any sort of leafy vegetable, water, wood, kaste, roots, mule, right? Fruit, hale, trine means grass, trinum, right? From others' property does not amount to stealing. There you go. So you can just quote that next time you go over to your neighbor's orchard and start picking his fruits. You can quote that one to him. It says that, Manu says it's okay for me to steal fruits from you. It's there in form of Purana Vyasa Gita. Brahmanas, one should not pick flowers for worshipping the Lord from only one person's garden. From only one person's garden. Maikasmad Eva. I think there's more to it than this because here it says an anugya. Anugya means permission. Api. Ananugya means without permission, right? Without permission. So I'm not sure exactly what the meaning of this is. Again, a couple of these slokas I'm going to run by my Sanskrit teacher. Okay. Sorry, I'm not an expert in Sanskrit, so I can only just give you my guess of what it means. So text 227, if the prescribed flowers are not available, then prohibited flowers can be used as a replacement, but one should never offer flowers that have been absolutely banned by the scriptures. What does that mean exactly? So remember, I said at the end of this section, we were going to get us a few pramanas that say, if even the prohibited flowers can be used, but the ones that are absolutely banned cannot be used. So I think we have to look at the section again and see what was absolutely banned. I don't know what was absolutely banned and what's the difference between prohibited and absolutely banned. So this is a very strange thing here. Basically, if it looks good, if it smells good, if it's fresh, if it's perfect, and everything like that, offer it, is my opinion. Okay, so even if it's prohibited, even if it's somehow, you can find some verse prohibiting it, still, if you don't have anything else, you can offer it. If the prescribed flowers are not available, that's the point, right? So text 228, and you can notice here that some of these slokas he does. Here he's saying it's in the Kurma Purana, right? But I'm not sure whether all of this is mentioned in the Kurma Purana. We could look it up in the Vyasa Gita of the Kurma Purana and see if all these slokas are there. So if there is a lack of prescribed flowers for the use in the worship of the Lord, then those prescribed flowers that are prohibited under certain conditions should be offered. Okay, so now we have two slokas that rule out the picking of prohibited flowers. Okay. Nishida Pushpa. So up here we see that the word Nishidanam is given for the absolutely banned flowers. Nishidanam, right? Of absolutely banned flowers, right? So here we've got down here, he's going to be talking about what it means, absolutely banned. So these two slokas give it. So 229, 230. Okay, here's your absolutely banned flowers. Flowers that are dry, crushed, wilted, fallen onto the ground, torn, eaten by insects, mixed with hair, which is what happened when Andal wore the garland and then put it back wrapped it up in the cloth again before it was offered to Lord Vishnu in South India. So mixed with hair, without fragrance, and having a very strong fragrance, as well as flowers that were held while one bowed down to offer obeisances. Right? So you're collecting flowers, you've got them in your hands, but then somehow or other the Lord's procession goes by, or you see your guru or something, and you pay obeisances to him with the flowers in your hands, you're holding them and not putting them in your basket. Put them in your basket if you're going to perform obeisances. Otherwise, if you're holding in your hands when you perform obeisances, you're on the ground, and therefore that's considered bad, right? They're rejected. Flowers held in the left hand, in one's left hand. We should pick the flowers with the right hand, not the left hand. And flowers that are dipped in water, meaning we put them in water, and the scent is going to be lost, right? They're washed. They're not to be washed. Are unfit for use while worshiping the Lord. Flowers collected by breaking the branch of a tree. We see a tree, it's got flowers on it, and we break the branch to get the flowers. We're injuring the tree, and we should not do that. And therefore, that is prohibited. By uprooting the plant, again, injuring the tree or the plant. By climbing the tree. We may say, okay, we're going to climb this tree because there's a big, nice flower up there to get it. Right, are meant for demons. This is what it says. One should also reject flowers that were collected by stealing, taking from somebody's place without their permission. or touched by contaminated objects, as well as those that are unclean, already offered, placed on a dirty cloth, or were bought in the market. Were bought in the market. So those flowers that you went to the florist shop and bought are prohibited. They are called Nishida Pushpa. What does Nishida mean? Siddha means perfection. Nishida. Nishida means warded off, kept back, restrained, checked, prevented, forbidden. Okay? All right. Let's continue on. Text 231. One should also offer tender leaves, and durva grass to the Lord with love and devotion. In all circumstances, one must offer tulsi leaves to the Lord. So it says here, complete Shri Tulsi. Kintu Shri Tulsi Patram Sarvatraiva. Always. In all circumstances. Tulsi leaves. Right? Here we have Ankura. Ankura means sprouts. Sprouted grains, sprouts. Durvadi, Durva, etc. Holy grasses like Durva, etc. Okay? So now we're going to be talking about leaves. Ata patrani. Patrani means patram patre patrani. Patrani means leaves. Different types of leaves which are offered to the Lord. In Vishnu Dhammottara it mentions, O Brahman, a person who offers tender durva grass in the absence of flowers achieves the merit of offering flowers. So you can offer durva grass instead of flowers. In the absence of flowers, one should offer leaves to Lord Janardana. In the absence of leaves, one should offer water. So if you don't have flowers, you can offer leaves. If you don't have leaves, you can offer water. Right? What does Krishna say in Bhagavad Gita? Offer to me a fruit, a flower, a leaf, or some water. Flower, leaf, water. Right there from Bhagavad Gita. He says it. Right? So normally when we read that, we think we should offer some fruit, we should offer a flower, we should offer some leaf, like tulsi leaf, or we should offer some water as well. But here it's saying, if you don't have the flowers, you can offer leaves. If you don't have the leaves, you can offer water. So just water can be offered. Just water, and that's perfect. This is also, again, a substitution. O exalted Brahmanas, by offering Lord Madhusudana leaves from trees, fragrant flowers, durva grass, or water with love and devotion, all of one's desires will be fulfilled. In the third kanda of the same literature, which is the Vishnu Dhammottara, I think, yes, Vishnu Dhammottara, right? It also says, Bringaraja leaves, bilva leaves, baka leaves, blackberry leaves, mango leaves, and lemon leaves may be offered to the Lord. One can achieve a great deal of merit simply by offering all the above mentioned leaves. By offering tender, fragrant leaves to the Lord, one obtains the same benefit as offering flowers. Now from Narasimha Purana, text 237 to 40, it says, O foremost of rulers, now hear with attention as I prescribe to you the sacred leaves that are very pleasing to Lord Hari. Bringaraja leaves are better than Apamarga leaves. Tamala leaves are better than Bringaraja leaves. Samipatra leaves are better than Tamal leaves. Durva leaves are better than Samipatra leaves. Kusha leaves are better than Durva leaves. Amalaka leaves are better than Kusha leaves. Bilva leaves are better than Amalaka leaves. Tulsi leaves are even better than Bilva leaves for the worship of Lord Vishnu. Now, usually Bilva leaves are usually offered to Shiva Lingam in Shiva Puja, but here it's specifically said you can offer them to Lord Vishnu, which was something that Ramanuja mentioned, right? When they were trying to figure out whether the Lord of Tirupati was Shiva or Vishnu. A devotee who worships Lord Hari with these leaves, whatever is available, will be freed from all sinful reactions and receive honor while residing in the abode of Lord Vishnu. From the Vamana Purana, text 241 to 242 says, leaves of Bilva, Shami, Bringaraja, Tamala, Amalaki are best for offering in worship of Lord Keshava. Those who cannot collect appropriate flowers for the worship of Lord Hari can offer these leaves instead and thereby achieve the same result. In the Agni Purana, it said, text 243 to 244, offer Ketaki, Bringaraja, Tulsi, the blackish Tulsi leaves, and blackish Tulsi leaves, meaning two types of Tulsi, right? Pleases Lord Hari. Lord Hari becomes immediately satisfied when he is offered Bilva, Shami, Bringaraja, and Tamal leaves. Again, from Skanda Purana, the conversation between Brahma and Narada mentions, O Narada, one who worships Lord Janardana, the enemy of the demons, with an offering of Shami leaves, is freed from having to traverse the terrible path of the abode of Yamaraj. For those who worship the Lord, whose flag is adorned with the symbol of Garuda, with an offering of Kumbi leaves, the sinful reactions that are accumulated during millions of lifetimes are nullified. Text 247, simply by worshipping Lord Govinda even once, with an offering of bilva leaves, he becomes so satisfied that he awards the devotee the merit of performing all kinds of sacrifices. Text 248 to 249, it says, O Narada, I have already described the glories of those who devotedly worship Lord Hari with offerings of bilva leaves during the month of Kartik. Again, mentioning bilva leaves can be offered to Hari, to the Lord. O sage, by an offering of Maruka, Ketaki, and Damanaka leaves, Lord Hari remains pleased with his devotee for hundreds of years. Now, it's interesting, Ramanuja quoted, he didn't quote these Puranic literatures on offering bilva leaves to the Lord, but to Lord Hari, instead of Lord Shiva, right, which is normally we use bilva leaves to offer to Shiva, lingam to Shiva. But he mentioned Adityavarni Tapasori Jato Vanaspatistavadiksho to Bilvaha, that in Sri Shuktam, the mention of Bilval is there as being offerable to Lakshmi, and whatever can be offered to Lakshmi can also be offered to Lord Vishnu, because Lakshmi is the divine consort or wife of Lord Vishnu. So whatever is acceptable to the wife is acceptable to the husband. So that was Ramanuja's argument in Tirupati about why bilva leaves were being offered to Lord Srinivasa in Tirupati, and therefore he was Vishnu and he was not Shiva. Because the people had a doubt at one point. They said we have a doubt, we think he's Shiva because of the bilva leaves that are being offered to him. So this was something that Ramanuja had to clear up. So continuing on with text 250 to 252, it says, O Narada, by worshipping Lord Hari with offerings of Damanaka leaves in the month of Chaitra and Vaishak, right, one obtains the merit of donating 1,000 cows. A devotee who offers durva grass to Lord Hari achieves 100 times more merit than if he has not done so. When devotees offer mango flowers to Lord Keshava, they acquire millions of times more merit. And also it is stated, the merit achieved by performing sacrifices and giving charity, which is very difficult to obtain, can be easily acquired by devotees who devotedly worship Lord Madhusudana with offerings of tender durva grass. Again, in the conversation in Skanda Purana between Shiva and Parvati, it says, one who worships Lord Vishnu even once with unbroken bilva leaves is freed from all sinful reactions and ultimately attains my, and in brackets he puts Lord Shiva's abode. Okay, so here it says, because Lord Shiva is making the statement. So Lord Shiva says, Mama Loke. So in this case, my abode means Lord Shiva's abode. That's interesting. Okay. In the Vishnu Rahasya, text 255, it says, by worshipping Lord Govinda with an offering of bilva leaves, devotees are liberated from material bondage and ultimately become engaged as eternal servants of Lord Krishna. Continuing on, text 256 from Vishnu Dharma, it says, By offerings of Maruka and Damanaka leaves, Lord Hari becomes pleased very soon. It's also stated, right, in text 257, one should offer leaves, flowers, and fruit, placing them so that the top portions face Lord Hari. Right, so when you have a leaf, obviously when you have a flower, the flower is in one way. If you shouldn't offer it upside down. Same thing with a fruit. The same thing with a leaf. Leaf has one side which is the top side, and one side which is the bottom side. So again, from Gyanamala, text 258, leaves, flowers, and fruits that face downward while being offered are not pleasing to Lord Hari, and so this will cause distress to the worshipper. One should always offer things to the Lord in a way that is pleasing to him. Now we're going to talk about Tulsi. So, Tulsi Arpana. Offering Tulsi to the Lord is an eternal function. In the Padma Purana, it's stated, the lives, youthfulness, and wealth of all those who do not offer Tulsi to Lord Hari on auspicious days such as Akshaya Tritiya, right, and Ekadasi, in the month of Vaishak are considered useless. Such persons cannot achieve happiness in this life nor in the next. In the Garuda Purana, it continues to be said, the Lord has said in Garuda Purana, even after 100 years, I do not acknowledge the worship of a person who does not offer me Tulsi leaves every day. Now, at the end of the story about Yagyadwaja, which is found in Brihad Naradiya Purana, it is stated, the house where there is no Tulsi plant for the worship of Shalagam Shila is compared to a cemetery because it is very inauspicious. Therefore, it has also been stated, the worship of the Lord without Tulsi does not count as worship. Bathing the Lord without Tulsi does not count as bathing. Offering food to the Lord without Tulsi does not count as eating by the Lord. And offering a drink to the Lord without Tulsi does not count as drinking. It's a good pramanam, okay? Tulsim vina, the word vina means without. So when I said before, vai means without, vai doesn't mean, vai means verily, doesn't mean without. So here we have the word for without, means is vina. Tulsim vina, na kriyate, na puja, snanam, na tad, at yat, tulasim vina kritam, bhuktam, na tad, yat, tulasim vina kritam, hitam, na tad, yat, tulasim vina kritam. So it's very, 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 very straightforward. I'm not sure if that comes from some Shastra. Oh, yeah, it's coming from Brihad Naradiya Purana. Maybe it's coming from Brihad Naradiya Purana, or maybe it's from some other place, but it's not stated. Now from Vayu Purana, text 263, 264, it says, Lord Hari never accepts worship without Tulsi. If Tulsi leaves are not available, then one should simply touch Tulsi wood to the body of the Lord. So if you can't offer Tulsi leaves, and you can use dry Tulsi leaves even, but fresh Tulsi leaves are the best. But if you can't offer fresh Tulsi leaves, then dry Tulsi leaves. If you can't get dry Tulsi leaves, then touch a piece of Tulsi wood to the body of the Lord. If Tulsi wood is not available, then one can chant the name of Tulsi while worshipping the Lord. Om Tulasyai Namaha. Just chant Tulsi, right? And that is sufficient. A person who worships the demigods with Tulsi leaves incurs the sins of killing a cow, killing a brahmana, and having intimate relations with the wife of the spiritual master. So Tulsi is meant for the worship of Lord Vishnu only. Only. It is prohibited to worship other devatas or other demigods with Tulsi. Going to Hari Bhakti Vilasa. So, regarding food that has been offered to the Lord, the following verse is found in Garuda Purana. One should always offer food to the Lord with Tulsi leaves. The indescribable glories of Tulsi, which are very dear to the Supreme Lord, is declared in all the scriptures. In this book, we will briefly describe them. So now we have a Tulsi Mahatmyam. The glories of Tulsi. In the Skanda Purana, her natural greatness is described. Long ago, at the time of churning of the ocean of milk, for the benefit of all living entities, Lord Vishnu created Tulsi, which contains the essence of all medicinal herbs, right? So this is why Tulsi is used in Ayurvedic medicine. You see people all the time. They eat handfuls of Tulsi. They eat Tulsi leaves. It's good for health, right? If you in any South Indian temple in Sri Rangam, if you go around in the morning and visit all the shrines, the pujaris will give you handfuls of Tulsi, and people are just walking around eating handfuls of offered Tulsi that's been offered to the Lord. It's therefore been said, there is no better recipient of charity than a Brahmana. There's no better gift of charity. There's no better charity than the gift of a cow. There's no water more sanctified than the water of the Ganges, and there's no better leaf than the Tulsi leaf, right? Again, we can learn this as the pramana. Now, vipra sadrisham patram. Should be patram, I think, not patram, right? Patram. Yeah, this is incorrect. Nadanam surabhi samam. Surabhi, meaning the cow. Nacha ganga samam tirta, the water that we sip, is no better than the Ganges. Napatram tulasi samam. See here, patram is spelled correctly here. Patram is not correct. Patram means a pot. Patram means a leaf. Okay. So here we have text 269 from Vishnu Rahasya. One should offer leaves that are not torn and beautiful manjaris of Tulsi. Manjaris are the flowers, the flowers that grow between two leaves. They are called manjaris. Who appeared from the ocean of milk and presented herself before Lord Hari. So Tulasi appeared from the ocean of milk, just as Lakshmi also appeared from the ocean of milk. The nectar of immortality appeared from the ocean of milk. Lord Dhanvantari appeared from the ocean of milk. There are many, many things that came from the churning of the ocean of milk. So we have to read that story to see all the different things that came from that pastime. Tulasi is very dear to the Lord. In the Narada Purana, it says, O Brahmana, until the arrival of Tulsi, who is very dear to Krishna, flowers such as Malati can I guess only display their pride. In other words, Malati, they can display their pride until Tulsi comes along. Then Tulsi is the greatest, and therefore they're nothing but a shadow in the presence of Tulsi. That's also a very nice verse. Tavad garjanti pushpani malatyadini bhushura yavanna Prapyate punya tulasi Krishna Vallabha. Another name for Tulsi, Krishna Vallabha, that which is loved, dearly beloved of Krishna. In Vishnu Rahasya text 271 to 272, it's mentioned all kinds of Tulsi, whether red or green. I don't know that I've ever seen any red Tulsi, but here it's talked about. Does it say anything about, does it actually say red here? I didn't see that exactly. Okay. Red or green, are dear to Sri Krishna, just as the Dwadasi of the waxing and waning moon are dear to him, which is the 12th night, the 12th day of the moon. Jewels such as the Kaustuba, which is that big sapphire that Lord Krishna or Lord Vishnu wears on his chest, can exhibit their pride only as long as Tulsi leaves or manjaris are not available, right? In other words, such jewels have little value in front of Tulsi. From the Agastya Samhita, remember this Agastya Samhita is always about it's a lot to do with Lord Rama, but here we see the word Vallabha here in the last sentence is being translated as Krishna. That's fine. The wise Tulsi Devi had previously performed severe austerities and then had asked for a benediction. Because of this, she has become the most dear to Lord Krishna among all kinds of flowers and leaves. Now, in a conversation between Yama and the Brahmana found in the Vaishakha Mahatmyam, or the glories of the month of Vaishakha in the Padma Purana, it's stated, of all kinds of leaves, Tulsi leaves are most dear to Lord Keshava. And it's also said, Always, in all circumstances, Tulsi is very dear to Lord Vishnu. Here it said Vishnu Vallabha. So, again, Narada has stated in the Kartik Mahatmya, the glories of the month of Kartik in the Padma Purana, in the last Kanda, the Uttara I am unable to describe the glories of worshipping the Lord with an offering of Tulsi leaves. Tulsi is extremely dear to Lord Hari in his form as a Shalagram Shila. Setting an ideal example of chastity, Vrinda Devi had worshipped Lord Hari in her previous life and thereby attained the most glorious position. Text 278. At the end of the story of Vrinda in the same literature, it mentions, pleasing words spoken by Vrinda Devi are certainly in the mode of goodness, and her wrath is in the mode of ignorance. The wrath is in the mode of ignorance, okay. According to these two qualities of Vrinda, Lord Hari displays two different moods. This is the reason that Tulsi has two different colors. Although blackish Tulsi is certainly dear to Krishna, green Tulsi is especially dear to him. Okay? So it seems like we're talking about the green Tulsi is Tulsi in the mode of goodness, and the Tulsi, the wrathful Tulsi is the black Tulsi. But still, Lord Krishna likes both of these types of Tulsi. So even when his consorts like Tulsi or like Radha, when they're angry with him, then here it's not really considered material ignorance, but it's considered to be just the anger. The display of wrath of a spiritual personality is not really the mode of ignorance. Okay, so here we have now in the Dwarka Mahatmya, the glories of Dwarka, conversation between Markandeya and Indradyumna says, Lakshmi is certainly dear to Lord Vishnu, but Tulsi is more dear to him, more dear than Lakshmi. So it's a little bit of Shastric hyperbole here, trying to say that Tulsi is more dear. There's no difference. Tulsi must be an expansion of Lakshmi, of course. So in the Skanda Purana, it's mentioned here, just as yogis are very attached to renunciation and lusty people are very attached to sex, Lord Hari is more attached to Tulsi than all the other plants. Lord Hari renounces Malti, Mukta, and lotus flowers and longs for Tulsi leaves, even if they are wilted or dry. Even if they are wilted or dry. So again, continuing on with text 282, in the fourth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, a discussion between Narada and Dhruva says, one should worship the Lord by offering pure water, pure flower garlands, fruits, flowers, and vegetables, which are available in the forest, or by collecting newly grown grasses, small buds of flowers, or even the skins of trees, the bark of trees. And if possible, by offering Tulsi leaves. See? Tulasya, Priyaya, Prabhum, right? Which are very dear to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the 10th canto, in the Rasa Lila section of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the gopis have spoken the following verse. O most kind Tulsi, to whom the feet of Govinda are so dear, have you seen that infallible one walk by, wearing you and encircled by swarms of bees? So again, the gopis in the 10th canto are seeking out Lord Krishna. So further on in Skanda Purana, it said in 284, O Narada, the merit one obtains by worshipping Lord Keshava with offerings of all kinds of flowers and leaves can be obtained simply by worshipping him with an offering of only one Tulsi leaf. Right, so we got Tulsi is great. It's a substitute, and we just need to offer only one Tulsi leaf is enough. So, in the glories of the month of Vaishakha in the Padma Purana, it says, even Lord Ananta is unable to estimate the merit one achieves by worshipping Lord Madhava with offerings of Tulsi leaves rather than Malati and lotus flowers. Now again, in the Padma Purana, in the section giving the glories of the month of Magh, right? In a conversation between Devaduta and Vikundala, it says, one does not receive even 1/16 of merit that one obtains by offering tulsi leaves to Lord Vishnu if he offers him golden flowers inlaid with precious jewels and pearls. So previously, you see how we heard about all these different wonderful flowers, then we heard about golden precious flowers made of gold and jewels, and now we're hearing about tulsi leaves, which are considered even better than these golden flowers inlaid with precious jewels and pearls. Again, from the Augusta Samhita, text 287 to 289, it says, one who worships Lord Hari 3 times a day with offerings of thousands of blue lotus flowers for 100 years cannot obtain as much merit as can be achieved by worshipping the Lord with tulsi leaves. O learned one, among all flowers, the lotus flower is the best. A garland of tulsi leaves is millions of times better than the garland of lotus flowers. By offering a single tulsi leaf on the head of Lord Vishnu, while chanting an appropriate mantra, one achieves unlimited piety. Text 290, right? O great ascetic. It's also stated, O great ascetic, for the members of all varnas and all ashramas, there is no other offering in the worship of the Lord that yields as much merit as the offering of tulsi leaves. Text 291, in the Naradiya Purana, or the Narada Purana, all flowers and fruit should be rejected in the worship of the Lord, but all tulsi leaves and Ganges water should never be rejected. So these are some exceptions to this, to offering all things to the Lord. So here we have tulsi destroys one's sinful reactions when offered to the Lord. In the Padma Purana it's stated, Yamaraj, the Lord of sinful people, personally searches for and then forgives the reactions of sinful activities performed knowingly or unknowingly of a person who, even once, worships Lord Hari by offering him fragrant, clean, untorn tulsi leaves. And further on in the Skanda Purana, text 293, says, one who worships the Lord of Dwarka with 100,000 tulsi leaves becomes relieved of all the sinful reactions that were accumulated during millions of previous lives. Continuing 294 to 295 from the Brahma Purana mentions, simply by observing the worship of the deity of Lord Keshava with tulsi leaves, a person becomes freed from the reactions to the sins of killing a Brahmana. What then can be said of the lesser sins committed by a person who worships the Supreme Lord Hari with tulsi leaves? Indeed, all his sinful reactions are nullified. Continuing text 296 to 297, elsewhere it's stated, tulsi leaves offered on the head of Lord Madhava completely destroy all the reactions to one's contemptible sinful activities. A person who devotedly cleanses the temple of the Lord Hari 3 times a day by sprinkling water mixed with tulsi leaves is freed from the reactions of all kinds of grave sins. Right? So you should wash the temple with water mixed with tulsi leaves. Interesting, right? So you would think that's not a good thing to do, but here it's stated there's something to do. Continuing from the Skanda Purana, Avanti Kanda, right? Which is the section about Avanti, right? Even if they are enraged, Yamaraj and his followers cannot harm a person who worships Lord Hari, the destroyer of his devotees' distress, with tulsi leaves. Again, from the Augusta Samhita, text 299, there's no doubt that if a person, whether sinful or pious, worships Lord Vishnu with tulsi leaves, he will not have to suffer the pangs of hellish torments. I promise you this. Tulsi destroys one's enemies. Long ago, for the purpose of killing Krauncha, the 6-headed Kartikeya worshipped Lord Rishikesha with tender tulsi leaves and thus fulfilled his mission. Tulsi awards or opulence from the Augusta Samhita, O empowered ascetic. By preparing a garland of tulsi leaves, placing flowers at intervals, and offering it to the Lord, one's spiritual opulence is enhanced. So, tulsi awards the supreme piety. From the Skanda Purana, it says, offering tulsi leaves and manjaris on Lord Krishna's head awards one more merit than a gift of millions of gold coins in charity. What is the use of wasting time by visiting holy places for those who worship the deity of Lord Hari with tender tulsi leaves? So no need to go on all these different parikramas and pilgrimages. One should simply worship the Lord with tender tulsi leaves. Again, from Augustus Samhita, it mentions, what is the use of performing various sacrifices and giving lavish dakshinas for a person who prepares a garland of tulsi leaves while placing flowers at intervals and offering it on the head of Lord Ramachandra? Remember, Augustus Samhita has a lot to do with the worship of Lord Ramachandra. What is the use of going to a place of pilgrimage for such a person? There is no need for such a devotee to give charity or undergo severe austerities. Text 306 to 307. A person who, while carefully controlling his speech after purifying his body, worships Lord Vishnu while offering a garland of tulsi leaves, obtains the merit of performing millions of sacrifices. Worship of Lord Vishnu with a garland of tulsi leaves is the best means for deliverance for those who have fallen into the dark well of material existence. And 308 from Garuda Purana, it says, O best of birds, a person who picks tulsi leaves from his garden and gives them to someone who is worshipping Lord Hari, he receives 1/13 of the merit awarded to the worshipper. So if you donate to other people tulsi leaves, you get also some of their piety, some of their punya. And elsewhere it said, a person who worships Lord Vishnu, offering him a garland of tulsi leaves, obtains the merit of performing 10 horse sacrifices for each of the leaves that he offers. 10 horse sacrifices. So, in the Vishnu Rahasya and Skanda Purana, again, the same verse comes. One who worships Lord Vishnu with an offering of tulsi leaves made with love and devotion automatically worships the demigods, asuras, and respectable human beings. In other words, by worshipping the Lord, everyone becomes pleased. In the Kashi Kanda, section about Kashi, it says, one who worships the Shalagam Shila with offerings of tulsi leaves becomes worshipped with a garland of parijata flowers in the abode of the demigods. And it says, tulsi awards the ultimate goal of life. From the Skanda Purana, it says, in this age of Kali, one who worships Lord Vishnu by offerings of tulsi manjaris is certainly glorious. Again, from the Augustus Samhita in text 313, it says, the path of liberation is open for one who offers tulsi leaves, flowers, and fruit to Lord Ramachandra. It is a fact that he will achieve all perfection. Text 314, tulsi awards liberation. In the Padma Purana, in the conversation between Devaduta and Vikundala, it says, one who worships Lord Hari along with his consort with an offering of tulsi manjaris will not again have to enter the womb of a mother because such a person achieves liberation from material bondage. And further, text 315 in the Garuda Purana says, foolish people will have to wander within this world of sinful activities for as long as they do not worship Lord Hari with offerings of tulsi leaves made with pure devotion. The Supreme Lord has said elsewhere in the same literature, which is Garuda Purana, one who collects tulsi leaves and offers them while worshipping me is not born again but attains liberation. Again from Augustus Samhita, text 317 to 318 says, those who worship Lord Rama with offerings of tulsi leaves every day attain the eternal abode of the Supreme Lord, which is rarely achieved. Such devotees never again experience birth in this material world. A person who worships Lord Hari with an offering of suitable fruit, leaves, and flowers does not have to again suffer the misery of residing within a mother's womb. Tulsi awards won the abode of Vaikuntha. From the Padma Purana, it's stated, O Vaishya, those who grow tulsi plants and worship Lord Hari with offerings of her leaves will joyfully reside in the abode of the four-armed personality of Godhead. And elsewhere in the same Purana, which is Padma Purana, it's also stated, one who worships Lord Janardana with offerings of blackish and green tulsi leaves attains the eternal position of being an associate of Lord Vishnu after giving up his present body. In Vishnu Rahasya, text 321, it says, one who devotedly worships Lord Krishna with offerings of blackish tulsi leaves attains the eternal abode where Lord Vishnu is always seen, along with his consort Lakshmi. Text 322 says from Brihad Naradiya Purana, in the conversation between Yama and Bhagirata, one who worships the lotus feet of Lord Hari with offerings of tender tulsi leaves never returns to this miserable world after attaining the abode of the Supreme Lord. Again, from the Garuda Purana in text 323, it says, those who give tulsi leaves to sannyasis and other devotees for their worship of Lord Krishna also attain the supreme abode of the Lord. And text 324 says that from the Hari Bhakti Sudadaya, the following statement is by the Yamadutas to a Brahmin devotee of Vishnu is found. Whether pious or sinful, we cannot even touch a person who has worshipped Lord Hari with offerings of tulsi leaves because he is taken away by the Vishnu Dutas. Therefore, in the Skanda Purana, it's also stated in text 325, a sage who has given up all material desires while worshipping the Supersoul and a devotee who worships Lord Vishnu with offerings of tulsi leaves are considered to be equal in status. Tulsi is very dear to the Lord. In the Brahma Purana, it's stated, Lord Keshava becomes very easily pleased by the fragrance of tulsi leaves, malati flowers, and the milk of brown cows. Right. So in text 327, in the Padma Purana Kartik Mahatmyam, the glories of the month of Kartik, at the end of the story of Vrinda, it's stated, in this way, Vrinda, who was Tulsi in a previous life, became very dear to the Lord Vishnu. That is why if the Supreme Lord, the destroyer of the demons, is worshipped by the offering of her leaves, he becomes extremely pleased. And again, text 328, in Skanda Purana, it says, being worshipped by an offering of tulsi leaves, Lord Achyuta becomes more pleased than when he is worshipped by an offering of flowers made of gold and jewels. Again, the conversation between Brahma and Narada in Skanda Purana says, and here we have almost exactly the same as the Bhagavad Gita, Patram Pushpam Palam Toyam, Tulsi Gandavasitam, Palam Laksha Gunan Proktam Keshavasya Niveditam. Very good. And by offering tulsi leaves to Lord Keshava, along with flowers, fruit, and water, the devotee obtains 100,000 times more credit than if he had not offered any tulsi leaves. Anything can be offered to the Lord with tulsi leaves placed on top. Anything. So sometimes you'll see even in Gaudiya Math, when they offer a lamp, they'll put a tulsi leaf on top of the lamp before they offer the lamp. Right? So, or the dup patra. But whatever we're offering to the Lord, if we put a tulsi leaf on top of it, it makes it much better. Indeed, this will ensure that the worshipper receives the Lord's favor. Because as soon as Lord Krishna sees the tulsi leaf, he accepts the offering, no matter what. In the glories of Dwarka, the Dwarka Mahatmam, in a conversation between Markandeya and Indradumna, it also says, O king, one who worships the son of Devaki with a garland of tender tulsi leaves and flowers certainly attains the same merit and destination achieved by those who practice mystic yoga, perform sacrifice, travel to holy places of pilgrimage, faithfully serve their mother, follow the vow of Dwadasi, engage in chanting and dancing before the deities, while remaining awake the entire night for his pleasure, worship Lord Vishnu, study the Vedas, study the Vaishnava literature, and give such literature in charity. There is no doubt of this. So now we have the special benefit of worshipping Tulsi in the month of Kartik. So I think we'll pick that up next time. The special merit of worshipping Tulsi in Kartik. We've heard a lot about the different flowers. We've heard about good flowers, bad flowers. We've heard about exceptions to the bad flower rules, right? We've heard about flowers which are absolutely prohibited and strictly prohibited to offer to the Lord. We've also heard about when to pick flowers. We've heard about other things like kusha grass and darba grass. We've also heard about Tulsi and the glories of Tulsi and how Tulsi is much greater than any other flower or any other leaf that's offered, right? And now we're going to continue on. Next time we'll understand something about offering Tulsi in Kartik and how that is great, because offering Tulsi anytime seems to be unlimitedly great. And so the glories of Tulsi are being expounded here, and they go on for a long, long time. So we'll pick them up in the next session.